crafty friend, it's Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. Today I'm going to be using a ton of really fun stuff from Trinity, but lots of things from my stash to make the easiest style of shaker card that I love to do, which is using shaker windows. Easy as can be. Easy as pie, easy as cake, if you will. So I am using this the cake die set, but I am going to have this stencil on my project. So I wanted to position my stencil in the perfect spot by just keeping an eye on where my die set areas will be on my project. So now that I have my stencil all positioned, I have my blending tools, which are my blending buddies from Trinity Stamps. Love them. They're perfect for adding just the right amount of color down, especially on a larger area like this. So I'm just using the yellow first and then the pink. Anytime I put them away, I put them away correctly so they will last even longer than without taking care of them. So I crack them open like an Easter egg. You'll see me do that with the pink one. And then I will put them on at an angle and do a little twisty twist, and all of the brushes are nice and secure. Thank you to Carrie for teaching me that. I really appreciate it because it keeps my tools lasting longer, which is always a wonderful thing. So this yellow and pink, the whole color palette of my card is based on one single embellishment, which is a really fun way to kind of style cards, is to pick something that you really want to work with and make your whole color palette off of that. So I originally had die cut all of these cute cake pieces, but the colors weren't really jiving. So I ended up getting rid of the teal and some of the other pinks there and leaning in more toward the magenta and purple side of some colors to make my project a little bit different. So another PSA is to realize that if you're working on a project, don't be afraid to pivot and try something else. So I'm going to go ahead and take that little piece that I already made and put it away and try something else. I think for this project, I just wanted it to be yellow, so it wouldn't be too, like my pinks would play nicely later with my dies, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm just using that same stencil and using just the yellow to get color onto my project and zhuzhing it up. Can you guess what embellishment I'm basing my project off of from the new embellishments from Trinity? I'll leave time in this video so you can comment, and then I'll see if you know which one I'm going to use. For making my shaker card, it is so easy to simply make a cover piece for the project and then go ahead and die cut directly onto the front of the card and make a little window. And to do that, I wanted to make sure that my card was just a little bit smaller than my finished card. So I just die cut it off just a little bit on the edges. So then I am going to take the main die from the You Take the Cake die set and just run that through my die cutting machine. This will give my project basically a little window for my cake to pop out of. I just misspoke. I will correct it in just a minute here, but I am using these shaker windows, and what I misspoke about is my size of my card. I am using an A2 card base, so I die cut or cut it down. I cut the white paper down before because it was just a little bit bigger than an A2, but now it is in fact an A2. So for making my shaker windows, I like to use these because they are so easy. I don't have to glue any crazy acetate on. I don't have to really fuss with too much. So they come with a release film on them, and I like to leave that on my project until I am complete with the actual shaker part of the project. but before I put it on my card base, if that makes any sense. So like right now I am still using and making my shaker, so it's moving all over the place and it could potentially get scratched up. So I like to just leave it be and leave the acetate cover on. Then I will add this double-sided tape or ribbon stick, if you will, to the back of my project. And I just have to take my release tape off and press down my shaker areas. I'm just doing 3 sides for right now. And then to do this, I like to go on this first side and really give it a firm press and go opposite of my first one, and then close the bottom up at the end, just like that. That little scoring tool really helps for shaker pieces. Oh, there it is. If you guessed piece of cake embellishments, you are correct. I went ahead and was fussy and picked out some of the larger pieces because I'm going to have them on the outside of my project. Now I will close up that shaker window area and just give it a firm press. See how that little tool is just so helpful? Could not be easier to make a shaker window, I tell you. All right, to get that off, I like to take the pokey part of my poking tool. I forgot the name of that right now, but I like to do a little circle and then make a line, and that little release film comes right off. Now to make the rest of this project, I just have to put this cover piece right over it, and it just alludes to the shape of a cake enough where the shaker elements are going to be visible still, but not be popped up or anything. It's actually kind of like a recessed shaker well. So that fits just perfectly onto the front. Now that acetate is slippery, so I definitely would recommend leaving it sit for a little bit, maybe with something heavy on top, like a die cutting plate or something, so it is stuck down, because like I said, the plastic is slippery and the paper is wet with the glue, so do with that what you will. Now this piece would be so easy if I would have die cut it with some ribbon stick behind it, so lesson learned. I hope you get that lesson for yourself. But I will just pull a Sarah Liz there and use my arm to get rid of any extra glue. There we go, making sure everything is lined up nice and straight. And then I'm going to add this little piece, which is with glitter cardstock. This will act like the frosting. Or wait, is it the cake? Is the opening part the cake? I don't know. This acts like one of the layers of the cake. We'll just put it that way. No, it has to be the frosting because it's on the top. Okay, the frosting. And it just fits so nicely in there. Oh, I don't know about you, but when I make shakers, I can't help but shake them. It's just so fun. Then I'm going to add this piece right on top of the area, and it kind of covers up a lot of the shaker area, which is a little bit sad, but this card is going to be kind of over the top anyway, so it's going to be fine. Then this piece will go right on top, and I like that this has holes in it because it kind of looks like sprinkles without adding lots of little pieces on to the project. One big die and we're all set. That is so cute. I think this card would have been extra cute if I would have used one of the lights from Pear Blossom Press to light it up, but again, lesson learned. The good thing is the dies are reusable. I can make lots and lots of cakes and cards, so I will probably do that one day with one of my projects. Originally, I wanted to use this white sparkle cardstock, but it just kind of got lost, and I thought, why not make it purple? So I grabbed a Copic marker, and I'm using the wedge at end of the marker because I don't want to get my nice brush end all jagged from the glitter cardstock. So I'm just using the wedge edge to carefully color that. I love adding foam to pieces like this because it really just helps keep everything popped up and lively, and it helps add dimension to projects with not adding too much work onto you as the card maker, but just adding the foam adds just that extra interest as well, and it creates a little bit of a shadow. Now for the candle, I originally had die cut it out with the silver here and a white cardstock that had the rip and stick behind it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of the pieces and color some of them to make it look like a realistic candle. Little note about the Pear Blossom Press lights. They do have a newish, but it's new this summer, fallish time. More summer, but they have a new light where you can blow out the candle. So there is a sensor in there that will sense sound, and when you go and you blow the candle out, it actually goes out. The light goes out. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about if you've watched some of the other Trinity Stamps or Pear Blossom Press videos. You've probably noticed it on blogs or videos, but I just think it is so cool. And the first time I used that light was with Amanda at Paperganza, the owner of Pear Blossom Press. She taught a class at Paperganza, and it was so incredibly easy to install. So those one lights, there's lots of videos online with the one lights or the candle, the blowing out candle light. It's so fun, and it's such a fun way to add an interactive element to your project without it being too much work. Now I'm going to add the little flame part. Like I said, I used rip and stick on this, so to add it into the project was easy as can be. I'll just center it in there. And I did use a rather thick paper. I think I used 120-pound cardstock to die cut out the white paper. So it is rather strong. And I regret doing this part. I regretted it at first because it was really kind of dangerous to do this, because if I made any mistakes, that red marker would have been really hard to cover up. But for some reason it worked out in my favor, and I ended up just adding that yellow to really blend and kind of bleach out a little bit, but blend that color even more. But if I were to redo it, I probably would have done that off project before I started going crazy. So I'm going to take fuchsia and grape and moonlight embellishments from Trinity and decide what do I want to put on to my project. There sometimes is this thing that happens to me when I'm making projects where I want to add all of the things everywhere. So I don't know about you, but sometimes more is more for projects, and this card is going to end up being a more is more for my project. There's also these new embellishments from Trinity that are like this polished kind of embellishment, and I actually grabbed them as well. And I can't forget about those cute little cakes. So I do have 2 tidy trays from Trinity Stamps. I do love using them. I think it helps with cleanup, and it helps for making shaker mixes. So I am going to position some of the cake pieces on top of the cake. The way that these embellishments are made, they're made out of clay. So I could have them going 2 different directions and it still looks perfect. Speaking of the embellishment, that is, my card is nowhere near perfect, but the embellishments are perfect for adding to the project because I can have them some facing the left, some facing the right, and it adds interest to do something like that. So that worked out so well. Then to finish off the rest of the sprinkles for the top, I wanted to add some sparkle spots because I love sparkle spots. I think I have them in almost every color, which is just perfect because it makes my heart happy, and it a lot of times matches my glitter cardstock, which in this case, the purple grape color here matches almost identically to the cardstock that I colored with the purple Copic marker. One more. There we go. There are a few styles or techniques that I love the most about card making, and one of those styles is making galaxy backgrounds, galaxy underwater themed. There's certain things like that that I adore. Anytime I get to make a project like that, I love. So I did not make a galaxy background for this card, although that would be so fun. But I did pull out my tiny alien die, and I'm going to have multiple tiny aliens on this project because Tiny Alien is just so darn cute, and with glitter cardstock, Tiny Alien is just extra cute. So I'm going to have this lighter pink Tiny Alien popping out behind the cake. I know that Tiny Alien was or is, there's going to be a name for Tiny Alien. They had people vote on it, and I don't remember at the time of doing this voiceover. If it has been released by the time this video goes up, I will let you know in the description of what tiny alien has been named. But with the eyes and the long smile, I just think that it's just over the top cute. And you saw me chop the arms off of the back one because I want the one in the back to be kind of cheersing with its arms up, and I will have the aliens holding different styles of or different pieces of the cake. Now I have a lot of glitter cardstock in my stash, so I wanted to use purples and pinks that would play nice together. So I'm going to use this purple one, but I'm also going to make an additional tiny alien to put in the front because they've come for the cake, obviously. The sentiment on the top, we have come for the cake, is from Trinity Stamps as well. I have die cut it out with 2 different layers behind it because I wanted it to have a shadow, and I felt like the top of the card needed a little bit of purple. So by adding that purple on the back of the sentiment, it just tied in the color palette. And I did add extra embellishments on the top of the card by the sentiment, just kind of scattered because I wanted it to look like the sentiment was kind of like beaming in or kind of like sparkling in from the tiny alien. So we've come for the cake, something like that. It's one of my all-time favorite sentiments from this year, 2025, was we have come for the cake, because I have used that on, I think, 7 or 8 different cards this year, and every card that I've made with that sentiment I've really enjoyed and loved. See, look, there's even 3 more shades of pink glitter cardstock right there on my desk. I don't know why, but I just adore glitter cardstock. I think it's the sparkle without the mess. I think that's really why I like it. Kind of like the sparkle spots. You get that glitter look without the glitter mess. Now I sound like an infomercial. Buy the sparkle spots and the glitter paper because it will make your cards cuter. I'm telling you. Anytime I'm working with a project and I'm like, oh, I don't really like this card very much, or something's off, add glitter. It's going to make it better. Let me know in the comments if you are pro glitter or anti glitter, because I am 100% pro glitter. I love a sparkle moment. All right. I am adding liquid glue behind my foam for Tiny Alien because the pieces are going to be glued onto acetate and glitter cardstock and smooth cardstock, and I just don't know if that foam will actually hold. So the liquid glue will help secure and lock in all the pieces so it won't fall off. Then for this alien, I had the rip and stick behind the mouth and the eye area, so I just have to stick them on like a sticker. I will link the rip and stick as well as all the products that I'm using on today's card down in the description. Just in case you wanted to remake this card, definitely go ahead and post it over on the Trinity Stamps has a Facebook group, and I will link that down in the description as well, so you can share your makes. Now with this little one at the bottom, I thought I'll move the arm and have this tiny alien holding a cake like he's holding it up for the other one, like, hey, look what I have, buddy. But it ended up looking a little odd. The arm was just not quite working like I thought it would. So I ended up gluing it back in place as it was. So, you know, you never learn anything if you don't try things. So that's what I just tell myself anyway. So we tried. It did not quite turn out how I wanted. So we'll pivot. We'll pivot to the couch and move along. If you've liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. On the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel here, I will be posting a fun Halloween project, a mini album coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm excited to share that. And they have tons of other awesome projects coming your way from the Trinity Stamps design team. I am honored to be part of it, so definitely subscribe for more. I almost left the tiny alien in the back without cake. Oh, what a tragedy that would have been. So, of course, tiny alien in the back needs a piece of cake, but I figured that this big size was too many, like the scale was off. It was too much. So I went ahead and grabbed one of the smaller pieces of cake for the guy in the back. Just going to my roots of art in the back, it needs to be smaller because it's farther away. At least that's what I told myself. All right, what do you think of this finished card? If you have any questions, let me know down in the description. But this was the easiest way I know how to make a shaker, and I hope you've loved watching it be made. Check out these other fun videos from Trinity Stamps. Bye, crafty friend.